On today's Fellowship of the Rink, we open with a quick teaser from a live interview with the folks responsible for resurrecting one of my personal favorites, Dangerous Man Brewing. That's right, folks. They are back. Check out the full interview on YouTube and podcast. Joe Smith joins from New York to discuss the ups and downs of the Minnesota Wild road trip, a critical win over the Rangers, and keys to more consistent play moving forward. Then we're joined by one of us, former Gopher and Stanley Cup champion, Nate Schmidt, who talks about the Cup run, stories from the celebration, signing with the Utah Mammoth, and much more. We wrap with the Gopher Hockey squad coming off a big weekend against Nodak, looking to carry some of that momentum into a home series hosting UMD. Fellowship of the Rink is brought to you, as always, by our incredible local friends in Waggle Golf and Zambonis on 7th. Enjoy the show.
And just coming together, I'm surrounding myself with some people that are definitely smarter than me in this industry. As I said to the two of them, I go, of the three of us, the person who's ultimately in the position of being the owner is the least experienced and prepared for that.
That sounds like Minnesota sports.
Exactly.
Ouch. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we haven't had enough beer yet. That's okay.
Yeah.
Can the Wild make it past the first round this year?
This year? No.
This year. That's the hardest of no's.
Sorry.
Okay.
No.
You know what? I like
You've had
the realism because
hang on.
Josh Leddy would say yes. He would say they're winning the Stanley Cup.
Honestly, I listened to an episode, the SOTA POD with Josh last year in October.
Oh,
he
yeah,
said
yeah.
no. He said no. They weren't going to make the playoffs last year, and they did make the playoffs last year.
That's because Nick was playing for the Blues. That's the only reason. He's either a homer for the Wild or for his nephew.
I get that. Yeah.
But
I'm a Wild
everyone needs
fan,
to know
and
the origins here of the Dangerous Man beard. It's that he swore that he would shave it as soon as they make it past the first round. Here we are.
And I still have a beard.
This is what we've got.
So you have to have like a logger that comes out at some point with just like the logo's no beard silhouette, and it's just second round.
I'll do it. If they make it to the second round this year, I will shave my beard.
It's a fun play on words too. A second round of
You heard it here.
Oh boy.
Come on, Kirill. Let's go.
Quick break, then we've got Joe Smith talking Minnesota Wild. Sundays are fun days at Zambonis on 7th Restaurant and Bar. They love hockey, they love St. Paul, and they love bingo. Their charitable gambling sponsors are St. Paul Capitals Youth Hockey, and they've partnered with them for Sunday bingo with great cash prizes, including a $1,000 coverall game. Take advantage of free street parking on Sundays and stop in for great food and drink, cash prizes, and of course, THC raffles during Zambonis on 7th, Wake and Bake, and Smash Mouth Pizza Brunch Bingo Sundays. Come get it. All right, Joe, we are here talking on the heels of a pretty big win for the Minnesota Wild when you consider how this road trip has generally gone so far. Tell me, you're there. You're in the thick of it. What's the vibe around the team after finally pulling that one off?
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know if relief's the right word, but they're definitely felt a lot better about themselves last night, and they should. I think that the first period was the best period of their season. By the first two periods, it looked like a different team, to be honest with you, from what the team that you saw in previous couple of games, especially in Washington when they're completely outplayed. And they just John Hines and the staff did a video session on the morning on Monday, kind of showed them clips of like the late preseason, like even St. Louis, like this is what they're doing when they're playing well. And they're a team that's built to wear on teams, forecheck, kind of support each other and play north. And like when they do that, they'd be really effective. And you saw that last night on Monday night, like 2-minute shifts, right, in the zone. And the Hinostroza goal that was taken away. Like those are the shifts that they need to play to wear teams down to win games in this league. And so the fact that they gave up an early goal in the first minute after losing 3 straight, and then after that kind of pretty much dominated was really impressive. So, we'll see if they can kind of use that as a template and use that more nights than not. And if they do, then they'll be in better shape than they have been in the first 6 games of the season.
And everyone knows to this point in the season, the team goes as Kaprizov and Boldy carry them. What have you seen, or what are people saying around the team? Like, who are the players that are pivotal in righting the ship and actually getting us on course for more consistent performances?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, you know, when you watch Kaprizov and Boldy on Monday night, even though they did, I mean, Kaprizov scored the empty netter, but they had 10 combined shots on goal. They're dynamic. Like, people who want them to split up, which I understand. You watch that game, you realize why they're together, because of how dominant they can be. But the team can only go far if the other guys can step up 5-on-5, especially. That's the Hartmans and the Felinos and, you know, Yurov, obviously Monday got his first NHL goal. No one's thinking he's going to be a big goal producer, but obviously a boost to see somebody like him come through to Johansson. So I think, you know, it's still early, obviously, like 6 games in. The 5-on-5 scoring has been a concern, I think, which you kind of expect a little bit with the loss of Zuccarello and how the line changes. Tarasenko's got 1 even strength point in goal. So I think in an ideal world, they keep the Boldy Kaprizov line together, either with Rossi or Eric Sedek. But that, you know, incumbent on other guys to step up. So we'll see. The guys that around them, like the Hartman line was terrific, and Nostroza could have had a couple goals. Like, so if they play like that, those goals should come. But you know, that'll be something for me to watch. It can't be a power play dependent team, and having Kaprizov Boldy together is great, but they can only do that if other guys are able to step in and give some support. There's a lot of pressure to put on 2 guys specifically every night in the lineup, because they're going to have some off games. There's a natural thing that happens.
For sure. And quite a couple days in the news cycle for Danila Yurov between getting his first career NHL goal. And I don't know, I'm sure, Joe, you've seen by now the story that went viral from the Empty Netters podcast.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was kind of a crazy story about the pre-draft and the use of social media and Instagram. Kind of makes me happy that no one gives a crap about Joe Smith and is sending some weird messages from a fake Joe Smith account, because there could be some Joe Smith accounts out there. I have no idea, but
you know what? Though, you've got a name that lends to that. Like, it's Joe Smith. Like, yeah, there's a million Joe Smiths. We're good.
Yeah, somebody could easily pull a picture of offline on my avatar and all of a sudden do that. But anyways, like, obviously he's gotten past that. He's just a great kid. I just love the guy as a kid. Like, he's so mature, always smiling, like a great attitude. Like, it obviously sucked for him to be healthy scratched the first 2 games of the season. Like, he's been a top player in the KHL and he comes over here, but he's, you know, Tarasenko told me, he's just really well-mannered, like a great, well-raised kid, and he's willing to learn and like a sponge. And I think that's been a great thing for him, to be patient. And then all of a sudden Rossi gets injured and misses his first game in forever. And here goes Yurov at a chance to play in a bigger role. And right when he won off his own face-off, which was important, went to the net and stayed there and was able to have the poise to put the puck in. And so I think it was a great moment for him. I think it'd be a big confidence booster for him. Like, one thing to be part of a team, other thing to have a winning goal in Madison Square Garden against Shesterkin. Like, those are moments that'll be kind of carry you forward when you have some tough moments in practice or in a game. So it'll do a world for his confidence, I think. And the guys are really, really happy for him. And you can tell how much a guy is liked by teammates by how they celebrate with him when he scores, or how much they talk about him. And they can just tell how honest they're. Like, this guy came here and didn't know anybody, didn't have hardly any English, doesn't have any friends, and he just kind of over here and just try to figure it out. And first time in North America, so you know, they're hopeful that could be a springboard for him.
Can you see it in him after the game? Just like, again, relief probably isn't the right word, but it's like, all right, I got that one out of the way. Now I can just stop and play.
I mean, yeah, he was certainly happy. He got a little emotional too, because his parents couldn't be there, obviously in Russia, and has to find their way over. But he just thanked them in the press post interview, and his little sister and his girlfriend. Like, this is, he wish they could have watched it live in person. But you know, you just tell, not the relief, because it's only been like 5 or 6 games, but this is something you dream about your entire life. So that's where it finally comes in. The 22-year-old says they scored a goal. You know, not like he's waited until he's 32 to do it, but clearly it's something that's really important to him, and he feels like, you know, kind of he belongs. And so I think that was everybody remembers their first, right? You know, and I think him having that in this moment. And in my story today, I mentioned he had like coffee with his agent the night before, and the agent represents Shesterkin too. And he's like, "It's going to happen tomorrow." And he goes, "I score an Igor," and he certainly scored an Igor, which is a cool moment.
That's very cool. And so it's one game, right? And
Mhm.
obviously the caveat that Rossi, like you said, missed the first game ever. And
Mhm.
what do you see? What does this mean moving forward for Danila Yurov? Is this just like, hey, this is a great positive and it's a confidence booster, but he's going to be doing more of the same? Or do you see any shift in his role based on that play?
Yeah, I don't think it'll immediately shift him like permanently. Like he still played around 10, 11 minutes last night. It wasn't like a lot, but it was a good taste of it and see what he can do in that role. I don't think you're going to supplant Marco Rossi in that situation. You have Eric Senecki, you have Marco Rossi, and then you have Ryan Hartman who's still playing well up the middle. And so unless you did make the decision to play him at wing, give him a promotion on the wing, and move him with the lineup, that's something they could potentially do. But I don't know if that'll happen necessarily after one game. But I think it is a very good way for him to stay in the lineup and stay part of the rotation, because we saw what happened with Liam Ogren, right? Like, you given every opportunity to get a second line spot in camp, given 5 or 6 game runway in the NHL, couldn't really produce, didn't really get the touches he needed. So they sent him down to Iowa, where first 8 minutes of the game, he scored a goal. So, hopefully for him, there's a chance to come back and play. But getting those minutes there will help. And you're seeing the new guys come up, the Ben Jones and the Pitlick, who played really well in his first 2 games. And they formed what looks like more of a regular fourth line with the size and the way they play and throw their bodies around. So I think that's something that helps the team too, is having a fourth line with Trenyan there that they can really lean on people and create some momentum. So those guys aren't going to give up their spots very, very easily. So I think that's something where maybe Ogren might be down, after a little bit until he kind of gets consistency offensively and kind of shows the both sides of the ice there.
Yeah. And the other young guy that I don't know, Joe, I feel like naturally we're going to be talking about him most episodes this year at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And Russo very lovingly has tabbed you the Zeev Buium Whisperer after all the embedding and different special features that you did with him the past couple of years. But like every game, you see a little bit more from him. And I know we talked last week with Mike about like, hey, you see it, it's there,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still pieces that need to come together. I mean, doesn't it feel like every game we're seeing them come together just a little bit more?
Yeah, I think I asked him the other day too. I was like, "Are you starting to feel more like yourself? You feel like you can be you, right?" And he's like, "I'm getting there." He's like, "There's getting closer to where there are moments where I'm the kind of the confidence that he's shown in his previous levels to get there. It's harder to be that player in the NHL right away, but you see the confidence, you see the playmaking with the puck. You saw the other zone entry on a power play just zipped all the way around, went all the way down to the below the circle and stuff. So yeah, I think he's going to be a special player. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, but you can tell how much he impacts a power play. He obviously needs to focus on the defensive end, which he's to his credit has taken a lot of pride in that, and he cares about that, and just has to realize that every time he goes over the boards, it's not an offensive shift. He has to realize that he can live to see another day, which he's done pretty well so far. So, but it was cool seeing him his first game at MSG too. He went in the video room and he's like, this walls have seen a lot, in this place, and it won't be the last time he plays there. And I'm sure he'll light up the place at some point, and he'll have his moment like Danila Yurov did at Madison Square Garden. But so far so good with Zeev Buium, and only to get better from here.
For sure. And so one more game to round out the road trip, going to New Jersey. What is the key to carry the momentum from this Rangers game over to closing out strong?
Well, I think it's taking the same kind of formula, the way that they played against the Rangers in the strong first period of being, very supportive in the offensive end. The cycles that they had, and were able to the forward check and lean on them, and be able to play north, be connected, where the defense was able to jump into play a little bit. And you saw some of those longer shifts, the D-men were pinching, the Juraceks and the Favors, they were all kind of making sure to keep the puck in the zone. So I think keep that same formula and energy. I know the Devils have been a better team than the Rangers so far, and I think they won 4 straight here. So I think overall this will be a tough one. Last game of a long road trip too are not very fun games to play in. But the way this trip started, losing 3 games in a row, getting completely outplayed by the Capitals, losing a game they probably should have won in Philly. If they can come up with a couple wins here, be very important, because the start of the season last year really kind of catapulted them and jump started them from a team perspective, from a culture perspective, from an energy, from everything. I really need all those points. And so the slow start this year, even though they had that win the other night, they need to carry it through the homestand to keep them kind of afloat here, knowing how the Western Conference, how packed and competitive it is, where everybody's winning.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, it can be great for the team to start out on the road. And like you said, some of the guys that maybe aren't as tight with the team, new to the organization, new to the country.
Yeah.
But for the fans, it's definitely tough having this big of a stretch to start the season with no games at home. They want to be out on 7th. They want to be hitting up places like Zamboni's on 7th and partying at the new, I think we'll keep calling it the X, but Grand Casino. They come home. They play against the Utah Mammoth, and guy that we're going to hear from here in just a second, Nate Schmidt. But you said it, the West, it's tough. And the Mammoth are just one of a number of teams that are on the rise this season. At least that's what we think early on. How big is it to come home and start that homestand on the right foot?
Well, absolutely. Like, Utah's a team in the mix, and you have San Jose, who's been really struggling. You can't afford to lose that game. It's one of those winnable games you have to take care of and get 2 points. And then they play Winnipeg, a divisional, top 3 caliber team. So, like, you see the stretch ahead, the home games against teams that are not only in your conference, but you're in your division, that you need to kind of pick up points, and knowing another road trip is looming right after that. So I think against Carolina and the Islanders was the next, I think, road trip after that. So, it's obviously the long season, and every stretch of the schedule will get magnified, and we all do that to a T. But I think the point is that for them to start to play to their identity and play to how they're supposed to, because even though they were losing, they couldn't really point to underlying numbers. The underlying numbers weren't that great on the road trip. So, but you saw it match up on Monday where the underlying numbers were great, and so was the performance. And then they got the win thanks to Philip Gustafsson having a terrific game as well. And that's one thing that they could be happy about, is the goaltending. I think through the first 6 to 7 games has been pretty solid, with Wallstedt, a couple of good starts, and Gustafsson, even when the games that they got beat pretty badly, he was the one bright spot. So if you're going to be strong in one place, the goaltending can give them a chance on most nights, even when they make some mistakes.
Perfect. Well, with that, let's kick it over to an awesome interview with a true Minnesotan and now Stanley Cup champion, Nate Schmidt. Zamboni's on 7th Restaurant and Bar at 174 West 7th Street, right across the street from Grand Casino Arena. We're going to keep calling it the X. More than just your go-to spot before, during, and after all your favorite downtown events, Zamboni's on 7th is now your spot for late night downtown eats. On game days, event days, and plain old regular days, Tuesday through Saturday. Zamboni's on 7th is now serving their delicious tavern-style pizza, as well as fried specialties late into the night. Check out their menu online at zambonison7th.com, or stop by for a few beers, cocktails, or sodas and dig in. Zamboni's on 7th. Before, during, and after. Way after. Joining the show today is one of us. I think this guy here played high school hockey with St. Cloud Cathedral, rocked it out for the Gophers for a few years, and became the unexpected journeyman of sorts, I guess, because he is notedly all around just a great teammate and everyone loves him. And it finally landed him the ultimate prize. We got the Stanley Cup, and he was it's crazy with how the summer went for him, but he was probably only 3rd or 4th most viral guy on the team in the celebrations. Stanley Cup champion, Nate Schmidt. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's a heck of an intro. I had a heck of a summer, though. I'm not gonna lie. With them getting the mug, and then having a baby daughter. She's sleeping on the other side of this TV, on the other side of my camera. So Schmidt House was chaos corner for the summer. So we were just finally getting settled in here in Utah. We had boxes piled up about yay high over in our closet. So we finally got that done today. So we're in the middle of camp, still ripping and roaring.
Well, I'm not going to try to get you in trouble with your wife here, but I have to ask you, since you've experienced both recently, how would you compare, or what's the better feeling of the birth of a child or winning the Stanley Cup?
Oh no. How about this? Being able to put my daughter in the Stanley Cup that's tippy top. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I could choose. One of them is a personal goal. The other one was just I mean, my wife was such a rock star with this last one. So Miss Daisy is great. We're having fun. We're a mess. But you know what? As I'm hoping any parent that's listening, I hope they would say, yeah, you should be. No, but we're great. We're loving it. So it's been really enjoyable. Like I said, it was a heck of a summer.
As you can see, the name of the podcast is Fellowship of the Rink, stick tap to our Lord of the Rings fandom. Are you an LOR fan, or what's your nerddom? What's your nerd itch that you're?
I'm reading Two Towers right now. It's funny that you do that. Like it couldn't have been better. I started last in the playoffs. Yeah, so I started the Fellowship in the playoffs, and truthfully, the first I don't know, 5 chapters, it was perfect. So it was putting me to sleep. Like the first, let's be honest, like the first 5 chapters, it's long and get into. It was perfect for the playoffs. Like read and go to bed every night. But then I started getting Two Towers probably by the finals, and then it kind of went away a little bit during the summer. But picked it back up. It's on my nightstand. I've seen everything. I just haven't read everything yet. So here I am.
Excellent. Well, we had obviously a special time recently. I think it was our last month of the Cup Day in St. Cloud, which I know it's the state of hockey, but I don't think the Cup's been to St. Cloud maybe twice, maybe in its existence. I guess probably. Just what was that whole day like? I know how much that place means to you. I know how much you mean to them. Like, what was the most overwhelming part of that whole day?
Yeah, trying to plan everything. Like I was up probably at 4 or 5 a.m. that morning, just couldn't really sleep, waiting for. And it's a big day, right? It's the way I like to describe it is the Cup. For the week after the Cup is kind of me. Like it's my time to celebrate with it. It's my time to enjoy the teammates. My time to kind of get to do everything that you want to do, right? Going to the parade. I know that my family can, which is awesome, but like, it's kind of, when you get to parade it around, like that's a sense of accomplishment from your career, right? And the Cup Day is, in my opinion, is for everyone that's been with you along the way. It's for everybody else that didn't get to celebrate with you in the very beginning. They get to celebrate with you now. And so family, my parents, friends, coaches, and, just the community itself, the people that helped raise you as a player and as a person. And so I think that day I was just stressed that it would just go off, right? And it got in a little bit later than we wanted it to, and so it kind of made things a little bit tougher. And everyone said, give yourself a bunch of time, because things happen all the time with with travel and whatnot. So, and I didn't listen. I tried as best I could to jam as much as I could into the day. But getting back to St. Cloud was really important to me, because like I said before, it's such a pivotal part of who I am, and who I am as a person and who I am as a player, and just wanted to say thank you and bring it. If someone would have won it when I was young, I probably would have stood in line and done that. The same thing. It was a little bit of a bummer that we had to take off. I think we stayed like 40 minutes past our time, and 45 minutes. And I was like, I felt bad. I was like, I'm so sorry. I if it happens again, I will know now. If I get a chance to do this again, I know now what to do. But no, it was a really special day, seeing so many kids go up there and get to see it and touch it. And, I mean, that's just such a special moment. I got to see it when it was in Toronto. When I was, I think at a hockey tournament up there when I was 10 and 11 or 12 or something like that. And I remember seeing it there and saying, wow, that's so cool. You don't really realize it until you're there, how big it is. And they don't let you touch it. And that was the coolest part, in my opinion, of, as the day went on. The keepers would say there's certain rules, like, Nate can only do this or that, or the guys that have played in this, and I know who won it. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. I'm forever going to be able to do that. It's super, and so, that was a long answer, but it was a really special day. I'm happy that I got to bring it home. I know it's just for a couple hours, but there was a lot to that day that I got to bring it home. Like I took a pit stop. My pit stop at Cathedral was maybe 5 minutes. I was hoping it would be a little bit longer, but that's kind of the compromise that we made. So, but I made sure to stop at DQ on division on the way out. That was a big story throughout the whole playoffs too.
Yeah.
But, it was just fun. It was something that we did. I think we were 9-1 going to DQ on the road. So it was a pretty special day. I mean, we had to do it even before. We did it at home before Game 6 of the finals. We hadn't gotten home yet. Only got on the road. We all met up at this little DQ. I think there was about 20 of us there. It was great. It was just the icing on the cake, if you will.
So is that the move that whenever you retire, are you just going to open a couple of Dairy Queens and see if you can ride that train?
Ride it out. Brad Marchand actually. So the crazy part was that freaking guy, I hated him so much before I played with him. It frustrates me that I like him now. Like, it really kills me that, he's just a good person. And him and I talk actually quite a bit. He's a big outdoorsy guy, just like myself. So there's lots of things that we like to buzz each other's towers about. But yeah, I was inside paying. I was like, guys, I'll pick up the first one. And that's when they took the photo outside. And then that's when it went all blew up on everything. And I was like, you got it, whatever. And then so sure enough, from then on, everywhere we went, it was like, hey, Marshy is here. And DQ was corporate was sending stuff to him. And they had like these stores. I don't know if the stores knew we were coming. I don't know how they knew we were coming. I think they just sent them to everything around our hotel, which was even crazier. And so everywhere we went, there was just signs and stuff, so. And they were like, hey, it's corporate paid for. I was like, no, I have to pay for it. It just is, the way it works is I have to pay for it. Otherwise, we're not going to win tomorrow. No, it was fun. I'll ride that out though. A nice little DQ. I could, if it's not that, I don't know what I'll do.
But I mean, you hit on the day for the community. Talk about the summer for Nate and for the boys. Like, I'm not a big Instagram guy. You bet your ass. I immediately subscribed to all of Brad Marchand's posts. I needed those notifications real time. We got the headband for Nate. We got the chug. We have the crowd surf. Like, what didn't we see that isn't going to get you kicked out of the league for sharing with us?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Winning it at 33 is different than winning it at 23. My son was still waking up at 6:30, 7 a.m. being like, Dad, let's play. And I'll be like, I was like, dude, I'm tired. Still got up with him, still rode the wave. But, Marshy was on a tear, especially when the Instagram post thanking all the teams. He didn't tell anybody. That's what the crazy part was, is that he just took photos. It was like, hey man, I just want to get this for my kids or whatever for everybody. And everyone was like, hey, everyone's kind of smiling, not knowing what it's for. And then halfway through him going through it starts popping up and everyone's just dying laughing at dinner. But no, it was great. It was a week or 8 days long of a really enjoyable, worth doing again, for how bad I felt after it was all over, and worth doing. We got to take it out on the boats. We ran the canals too. It was just fun. We got to spend a lot more time. I think the guys previously, the year prior, they didn't get to spend as much time with it. I think management and stuff had things that they wanted to do with it. And this year, I think they said, hey, listen, we're going to take away a couple days in the summer. We'll you guys might get some Mondays for your cup day, and everyone, if you guys will just take it for these next 7 days. And guys are like, great, sounds awesome. So we had a lot of fun. So I tried to be at anything and everywhere I could be whenever the mug was there. So I didn't miss a thing. And it was fantastic. And like I said, worth doing.
Yeah, the coolest thing for me, when I've covered Cup championship teams, and is watching the cup being handed to each player, right, in the order of how it goes, right, who is the go-to first, or what is the processional thing. And I thought it was a cool thing that Barkov, the first one he turned it to and gave it to was you. Did you know that was coming? When did you know that was coming? And what is your emotions and moment in your headspace there when you're like, okay, I've waited a long time for this, and here it is,
Yeah, I did not know it was coming. Matthew Tkachuk had kind of pounded, gave it. He was like, dude, you're going next. I'm like, nah, let's just, you guys, Bob, our captains, you guys go. And they're like, no. We're you guys are going first. And I was like, okay. And Cap locked eyes with me, and when Cap locks eyes with you, he has this like look on his face, like, don't screw this up, come on in. And so no, he looked at me and he just said, hey, it's your turn, enjoy it, take his. He goes, go slow. He's like, hey, just relax and don't go too fast when you're going around. But no, it was a really special moment. I didn't know. No one talked about it. It was just one of those things that was organic and happened. And it means a lot about how that team operates. They said like there's a lot of guys that did a lot more than the guys that touched it first. But the way that they said is like, listen, you guys hadn't had a chance, go, we'll have our chance. And so it was really special. And to get it first is always like a huge rite of passage. And everyone talks about it all the time. It's something's giving me goosebumps about thinking about it. How you're perceived by your teammates and by your peers it means a lot. So it was really special that Cap that gave it to me first and got to enjoy it as the best lap in hockey I've ever done. I've done a lot of laps in hockey before. That one hit a little bit different.
And I was wondering, in those moments, do you think back to like, your journey? And what I appreciate about you a lot too is like you weren't a number one pick, you weren't this touted prospects, and you were undrafted, and your freshman year at Minnesota. I talked to Mike Gensel yesterday at the Wild game. He said to say hello, by the way. But your freshman year at the Gophers, like probably was pretty rough one, right? Like you had trouble, didn't play every time. Like what was that moment like when you were watching in the tournament? And I think there was a quote someone said that you're like, I don't want this to happen again, right? Like what was that freshman year like? And people probably don't realize that it was a kind of a grind to get there.
Yeah, I remember just I remember going through that year. I played more games at 4 than I did at D that year. I take it. I know that I think the story's over. I had taken a photo of where we were supposed to watch our games in our player lounge, and I just remember just saying like, I'll never want to watch a game from this room ever again. And just had a really good off season. And Genner coming back actually was such a huge boost for me. He's the guy that recruited me, kind of knew what my skills, my talents were, like kind of what my strengths were, and how to kind of utilize those. I mean, he's had such a pedigree of guys. Think about the stable defensemen that have come through the University of Minnesota since he's been there, right? And guys that he's coached. It's really an impressive list if you go back and run through it. So honestly, probably the reason why I committed there. It was, my mom loved that it was a great school and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like I was shocked, and he handed me a piece of paper and said it was all these lists of guys he's ever coached, guys that were still playing, had played in the American League or play overseas, or what they're working, but they're done and where they're working at. He's like, listen, you're not just getting these 3, 4, whatever, how long you say, you're not getting these years, you're getting everything past that. And it couldn't be more true, what Rink's true today. And not to go a little bit off topic, but like that's the reason why, I think it's so special and why I wanted to stick through it all. Right. And that's why he came back, just got off to a hot start, and he just kind of unleashed and took the reins off and said, go get him. And it was a lot of times during that first year. It was hard. It was really frustrating. You're mad at myself. You're mad at your headspace is maybe not in the best. But I just made sure that I did everything because it was kind of like my last year in the American League. I was like, listen, I'm going to go out playing as hard as I can. If the chips don't work, like it is what it is. Kind of the same reason what happened in Florida this last year. And I went. A couple other things that were on the table, but I remember telling my wife, I said, listen, if this doesn't work out, like this could be it for us. So let's just go out and have some fun, and I'll play as hard as I can. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, well, at least I know at the end of the day, if I gave it everything, and I knew at the end of the day, if it didn't work, well, then it wasn't it anymore. But thankfully, here we are, and found that kind of passion again for the game and that confidence again for the game. And I feel like my game is actually probably better than it's ever been, just because of my headspace and where I am with my body and knowing where I am. And but those things don't come every day. You have to have you have to go through some growing pains. I truly believe that. I mean, everyone does. I mean, every single player, every third liner and from the third, fourth liner in the NHL were the top guys on their team. Yeah, at one point in their juniors or college or in the American League. So everyone's gone through it. So there is always it's a humbling experience, but it can mold you to be a better player.
And I mean, you talk about how tough it is to figure out like where you're going to go in a pivotal season like that for you. How tough is it now, like looking and seeing most of the band back together in Florida? And like, what is the thought process of like the contract you did sign and kicking things off with a fun up and coming team like the Utah Mammoth?
Yeah. And
this interview is brought to you by our friends at Waggle Golf. Waggle Golf believes what you wear on the course should reflect your individuality, who you are, where you're from, your hobbies, interests, and passions. All the stuff that makes you, well, you. That's why every design is inspired by the desire to create a piece of apparel that strikes a chord when you see it. That makes you say, wow, that was made for me. Because in a lot of ways, it was. Ready to get your waggle on? Go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 at checkout to take 10% off your entire order.
So here's the thing, as you look at last year, I only looked at 1 year and just looked at it as we'll see where this goes. Yeah, they brought the band back. They're going to be a good team. It's a real bummer that Cap got hurt. They do have so many other guys that can kind of try and fill that role and be successful there too. So I think they're going to still be a really good team. But to be said, I find that Utah was a team that was Florida, 5 years ago, where it was like, okay, have a bunch of young players. They're starting to get, grow up in the league. Now it's kind of time. And that was a really exciting thing for me to look at and say, okay, contract, that stuff looks great. But for me, it's more about everything else, because I find that when I'm happy at the rink, when I'm at get a good city, in a good spot, Salt Lake's awesome. It's beautiful. The mountains here, the weather's great. Our facilities are fantastic. There's a lot to love about, coming here. Our logo came out beautiful. I think it was, they did a really great job with it. There's a lot to like, in a sense where you have a brand new organization, right? I know it's from Arizona, but with Ryan Smith, like, he's kind of molding this into being his team and his organization, so that when you start to feel that type of energy, it really does kind of motivate you and get you excited about something new.
Obviously you're like a life of every locker room. We have a million people tell a million people's different stories. I had to ask you one before we asked our last question. Was I've been part of Mark Under Flurry here, all these pranks. I've heard there was an all-time prank pulled on you by Eric Halla.
Oh, no.
Vegas. And if you can share it on the podcast, you can. If not, I can pull another question out of the hat. But I know that there's a few that have been played around, so I wasn't sure if you could be able to share that one, or if I could ask you.
Well, it's fun. So in the room, in the trainer's room, they have this melted hot wax. Okay, and so guys put their hands in it, and they sit, and it's essentially just warms their hands up. I've never used it, but some guys use it. They put it on their hands, and so that way their hands get warmed up. I don't know. Guys do it, whatever. So Eric does it all the time, right? He's putting his dunk in his hands, and he rolls off, and he peels it off, and it looks like you have it's like a snake skin, right? Like it's just up your hand. Well, one day he decided, because I was running late, he decided to peel that off, and you can mold it. It's still warm, right? So you can mold it into something, into a male private part, and stuck it to the top half of my helmet. And it was pretty, it's wax. It's not that heavy. And I just grabbed my helmet and put it on. I was racing to get on the ice. And I'm doing a lap, and everyone's laughing. I'm like, wow, everyone's having a good day, good energy out here today. And everyone's feeling because usually just me, bouncing around, me and Jonathan Marchand used to always bicker back and forth, trying to get the energy up in the morning. And he was a little bit more, angry than usual, a little bit more than, and I'm like, huh. And Eric's laughing at me. I skate right by Dry Galan. He looks at me, he goes, oh my gosh, sometimes I wonder about you. And I'm like, hey, thanks, Turk. Appreciate you. Usually say other things to me, so I appreciate that. And I'm going around, and Eric cuts me off. He's like, dude, I can't let you skate out anymore. This is too much. And he goes, you gotta look at, go look in the mirror. I look in the mirror, and my heart sank. I couldn't believe there's fans everywhere. People are laughing. You know what? I put that one in my back pocket for a long time. So let's just say there'll be retribution someday. Just It'll be in my own way. I don't know if it'll be as good as that though. That was pretty good. Flower, I don't know. You know what the thing is that Flower probably egged him on too, because that guy is always he has his hand in everything. He'll say, "Nah, dude, that wasn't me. I swear." You know, but he's always got his hand in everything, which is the reason why we love him.
If you need some help at the alumni golf outing next summer and he's going to be there, we can concoct something. I don't know where that's going to go, but that could be fun. I do have one quick one, just like real Vegas curiosity, because like they've been the center of every talking point for hockey since they came into the league. That there's always a headline. There's no free agent that they can't go after. I'm just like curious from a player's perspective, like how do you balance the excitement of this team is in it to win it? They are going to do everything they can to put us in a spot to win, but also nobody's safe. Like,
yeah, you know, it's professional sports. It really is. I was naive in my younger years to think I was going to play with the same team my entire career. Now, some guys do, but it's very, very rare, you know, that you get a guy that's probably one, maybe two guys a decade or two, you know, that play. And the reason why is just because things are being, you know, players are traded. You know, guys like, I mean, in a lot of ways, you get traded, it's the team wants you, right? In a lot of ways. So the other team is looking forward to having you. And so it is something that I think there's a reason why there's a lot more, you know, no movement clauses going into guys that get traded there. And also, it's a great place. It's an awesome place to live, and they've got great facilities there too. It's, you know, Vegas. There's lots to do. There's a lot to like about the city. I mean, I loved it. I love my time there. Still love it. The city's great. People were awesome. You know, still have a place there. Spend time there in the summers. It's just, you know, a lot of my good friends still are around there. So it's just, there is a lot to like. You know, a lot of people that you know, but there's the other part of the coin. You know, they expect to win, and if you don't, then changes will. It's not that, you know, there's no threatening of changes. It's that changes will be made.
That's fair. Final question, brought to you as always by our good friends at Waggle Golf. First, make sure you head over to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order. I need 3 names, Nate. I don't care if it's athletes, celebrities, dead or alive, fictional. 3 names that you're going to take out with you for your dream golf foursome.
Dream golf foursome. Okay. Do I have to shoot well?
Oh no, that's not a requirement.
Okay. I'm not playing like in a tournament or anything.
No.
Okay, just out
like you want to go out for a nice casual, like 4 or 5 hour 18 holes, just have a good time, have some drinks, and these are the 3 people you want with you.
Oh no. Gosh, that's a good one. You know, that's really tough. I would, man, this is gonna be.
I'll give you the out here. Okay, this is your practice one. Give us 3 practice names, and then when we see you at the golf event next summer, we can get like a little bit more thought induced one.
Gosh, I hear you. The problem is is this any fictional characters or just like straight up?
If you're really into Legolas right now because you're in 2 Towers and you want him out there with you, like by all means.
No. You know, like, yeah, I was gonna say like Happy Gilmore would be.
Yeah,
you know, like,
Shooter is one of my top picks.
Yeah, Shooter would be great. You know, no, I'd be like non-golfers. Gosh, I don't know. I would just.
I mean, it could be golfers.
I know. I guess if I was gonna just say golfers, that's not fun. You know. Oh man, because this is actually a really tough question because I don't. Like when I go historical figure, you know, like a founding father, you know, maybe like a Gandhi. You go that far back, you get like Thomas Jefferson, you know, or maybe I don't know, and some influential people, you know, Julius Caesar would be weird. Talk about other things he's done. I don't know. I'm just like my brain's just rolling around here. You know.
See, I love this though. You're putting in so much more thought than some people do. It's usually like, all right, I like Tiger, so I'm gonna go with him. Let's see who else is a golfer. Yeah, Michael Jordan, he gambles, so like that'd be fun. Like God, you're going deep. Historical figures, fictional. This is fun.
I don't have enough cash to be playing with Michael Jordan. You know, I don't know. It's a good question. You know, You gotta think that if you, oh man, sorry guys, I like it. My mind's going a million different ways. Like how about this? I'll just pick one from each sport, and then
Okay.
I can come up with something better. It would be like a baseball player. God, I think like Mike Trout, would be pretty awesome. Like kind of maybe Ohtani probably would hit the ball really far. Probably a football player. Yeah, football. I don't know, guys. This is tough. I don't know. Let's do I might just go to pure fictional characters and do like Maui, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and and oh gosh, it would be another really good fictional character. Maybe I don't know. My son is 2, so all I see is Disney stuff right now. So
Yeah,
I could think of this like
Bluey's dad. How about that? That's where my brain's at lately with the toddler.
I was just saying like Woody or Buzz. So that's pretty much. Or I'm watching Stinky and Dirty now. Is like what my son is. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I haven't seen that one. No.
It's pretty good. It's about a trash truck, and I like trash truck. All that good stuff. I'm fully into it. I have to be. We don't do a lot of TV, so when I do, I have to be like ready to rock. So
nice. No, that's an acceptable practice round. And again, we'll just. Next time we will
roll me around. Yeah,
you'll have a list. You're like, well, I'm gonna have 4 different foursomes. I'm gonna do. Here's the one. Yeah,
of course. You're not gonna hear any of the guys I just said already.
Right. Vinny Lettieri said Frank Sinatra was one of his, so that's a different answer.
So I was. What's really funny is that I love jazz. So I don't know if you like, like the Rat Pack would be pretty cool. Yeah. That's a whole different like time era though, right? So again, living in Vegas, I love that stuff. So anyways, my daughter's yelling at me, you guys. I don't know if you hear in the background.
No, thank you so much. Well, we let you go, but I know we kept you a little longer, but I appreciate you doing this. It's a lot of fun. No. So thanks so much, Nate.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Now, Gopher Hockey. What a weekend. Big series for both sides, obviously, trying to prove their place in NCAA hockey. Minnesota Gophers, North Dakota Fighting Hawks, or whatever we call them now. Great weekend. This rivalry never disappoints. I know a lot of fans may be disappointed night 1, primarily with a lot of, we'll say, verbalizing of potential reffing tilt. I'm pretty rare to come out and blame reffing for a game. I might blame like a call for being pivotal, but I mean, generally speaking, you got to play through it and do what you can. It is just crazy to think that they had more penalty minutes in one game than they had all season. Not a great look, but we had 2 games that were by and large really competitive and balanced for the first 2 periods. And then we saw an explosion of offense from both teams. North Dakota taking over, and really, you had to know something like that was coming if Minnesota didn't mount a little bit more of a battle. That home crowd, that arena, it's always going to be unhinged, and I say that as a compliment. But some highlights from the weekend before we get to, I guess I'll just say Gophers doing the opposite on Saturday night. That third period, of course, I missed doing toddler bedtime. Why wouldn't that be the case? But going back, geez, different look for sure. And when it rains, it pours. The thing that stands out for everyone is, Brody Lamb doing his best Bobby Orr impression. A little bit of work to do. His acting skills might not be up to snuff, but we got some first goals for players. I mean, we got the young guys like Mason Moe getting on the board. We've got Rudd getting his first goal this weekend. Tanner Ludke continues to be a North Dakota slayer. I was not aware, but apparently even back to his University of Nebraska Omaha days, this guy scores pretty much every time he plays him. I think he's now up to, 5 goals in 8 career games. And this is a guy that missed a good chunk of last season. He's looked great. He has been such a great acquisition by Bob Motzko. I know a lot of people were concerned that he didn't dip into the CHL pool. This guy absolutely makes up for that. And not to say, I think we're all still thrilled with what we're seeing from LJ Mooney and a lot of the freshman class. I think the fact that we're working through things right now and like it doesn't look bad. There's definitely things to clean up, but this is a team that I think come January, February, we're going to see a different version of this team with seeing some of the guys get a little bit more acclimated to the game, get more comfortable, fit in more in the college game that they haven't played before. And there's chemistry too. When you have as many bodies moving out as you did after last year, so many guys going pro, there's going to be some shuffling. There's going to be some feeling out process to see where does everyone fit? What is the chemistry? I love, though, Leo Gruba back on the scene. Big celebration after an even bigger goal this weekend. That's a guy that we need vibing hard. This is a guy that I need out there killing people. I need to see him bring the skill like he brought this weekend. And we just need to see a steady veteran presence on the blue line to go in tandem with Middlestat and Cal Thomas until some of the young guys come fully along. And I'd say at this point, there's still probably some question mark as to who rounds out those next three names once we get to the big games in February and March. So hard to be upset, disappointed coming out of this weekend. We get the split with North Dakota, who is a good team in their own right, just a very different team. You got to think at some point they're going to settle things down and end the revolving door, stop going to the portal so aggressively. But hey, it's a good team. It's a good test early on. As Bob Motzko said, he made this non-conference schedule when he thought he was going to have a lot of the big boys back from last season. The boys are holding up. It's going okay. And I think it's priming us up for what is going to be a not so easy run through the Big Ten. So this coming weekend, going to be a statement. This is one that the Gophers need to come out full swing. They need to assert their dominance on the Gopher rejects. I say that lovingly. I actually don't really have any hatred for the other Minnesota schools. But they're ranked. It's 18 against 12 this weekend by USCHO numbers, but you don't want to sweep in a weekend like this. This is your weekend to come out and get the sweep. You can't split. It's going to be interesting, though. The Bulldogs, they have a very fun first line. They've got a power play that's clicked. There's definitely some question marks for them in other areas. I'm sure you'll all see about that on social media from Max Veach, who is the most passionate Bulldog follower out there. I want to see the Gophers come out and not play to the competition. I want them to drive play and dictate how this weekend goes. A lot of things to sit back and watch as it all unfolds. I don't know if I'm going to even be able to watch it because I could very well be at the hospital waiting for kid number 2. We'll see how that plays out. Either way, I'll be doing my best to get back in, see the game post-tense, and maybe I even wrangle Veach in for a conversation to throw in the future. It might not be for next week, depending on how tied down I am with the whole kid thing, but need to get his thoughts on the experience being out in the Gopher press box and again, taking in what is a great rivalry, one that we need to see renewed just like we needed with North Dakota. Really excited to see how it plays out. And again, go Gophers. Zamboni's on 7th Restaurant and Bar right across the street from Grand Casino Arena in downtown St. Paul. You'll find a joke at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. Enjoy happy hour food and drink specials when you stop in for the shows. Or if you've got something to say and enjoy stepping into the spotlight, go to zambonison7th.com and sign up to join the show. Spots fill up fast, and they do cap the number of comedians each week. so do not delay. Also, stay tuned for details on their once-a-month Friday night comedy show, Freaky Funny Fridays, beginning Friday, November 21st, featuring some of the hottest comedians in the Twin Cities. Zamboni's on 7th is a joke, but only on Wednesday evenings. And the occasional Friday. Thank you all for tuning in as you continue every week. Numbers keep growing. You guys have been awesome supporters. Do also check out some fun things across the network. We've actually just wrapped up our top 20 Minnesota Wild prospects collaboration we did with the Minnesota Wild prospects account, both on Twitter and Facebook, that you all love. Great work there from Baki and Pavel. Also, the formerly known as group, Sound the Foghorn. Brett, of course, a member of the network as well now. But check out, again, our rankings are far from perfect. Come in, tell us what you like, dislike. We're open to any discussion there. You can check it out both on Judd's Buds and on the YouTube channel. And any of you that are into beer, I know that it's not for everyone. So if not, hey, totally understand. But anyone that likes craft beer, you were probably as bummed as me to see Dangerous Man fall by the wayside. They are already back. They are going to come back stronger than ever. Beer coming out soon in distribution, and check out the interview for some nuggets on what comes next as far as regrowing, rebuilding that awesome brand and experience. But that's it for this week. Tune in next week. I will admittedly probably be on hiatus personally. Expecting kid number 2 any day now. So you'll be getting Joe and Isha, and potentially maybe Max Veach decides to jump in after getting up into the press box in Mariucci for the tilt between the Gophers and the Bulldogs. But till I see you guys next, stay classy, stay to hockey.